Hey guys, just finished watching Black Lightning Season 2, Episode 2. This episode was kind of fun, although we didn't get anything too much of Jennifer and her powers and stuff. We got a very little bit of it when Kalia was around and her powers were going off, but she was trying to hold them back and stuff. So it's kind of cool, like she's getting a little teeny bit able to control it, or maybe her emotions were not as strong as this time when her powers were going off. Although the other times her powers were just going off for no reason, you know. Whereas here it was kind of a bit of emotional stuff. She was able to kind of control it a little bit. So I think that's really being cool there. So we start off this episode. We see that there's some kids that are waking up in the pod. There's this guy and this girl and stuff. And the girl kind of escapes, but the guy ends up killing himself. Tobias Wales is mad at Khalil for letting his right hand, the girl in the last episode, kind of die in the first episode during the fight in the parking lot there, which she had like the spikes on her heels and stuff, and she killed Tobias's right hand man. I think it was a Gypsy or something. One of the people that he killed. So he's mad at Khalil for that. See Anissa hooking up with Zoe B. Just I guess some musician type thing, some famous musician or type thing. Looks like she has some bit of money since she owns a private jet. She can just fly to to New York City and stuff. So that's going to be cool to see if there's any storyline with that. Or if it's just a relationship type thing. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see that. So then we see that there's the school is bringing in a new principal, and it's a white principal, and this is obviously something that Jefferson Pierce is not happy with, and the school is not going to the students are probably not going to be happy with, although he hasn't told everyone yet. He tells the teachers and stuff, the guy's name and stuff, but he hasn't told the students yet. But that's kind of cool at the end there. He does that speech, and then they kind of throw his own moniker to him type thing, his own catchphrase type thing. The whole whose life is it type thing, and that his speech and stuff. So that was really cool seeing that at the end. See that Khalil shows up at Jennifer's window, and that's when she pushes him off the roof. He jumps back on, and then her powers go off, or is about to go off, and she kind of sends him away before she's able to kind of hold her powers back. So that's kind of cool, getting some little bit of a somewhat grip on her powers type thing really early on. So that's going to be cool there, and it looks like from the trailer for next week's episode, it'll also deal with her powers, maybe some sort of way where she's kind of like able to turn it on and off, not control it, but just turn it on and off, where she can just kind of blindly aim it at something. If she's in a situation where she needs to stop something, she feels threatened or whatever, she can just kind of blindly blast off her powers without controlling it. I think that could be an interesting idea from that, whereas she was just trying to stop someone or just trying to help someone, and she kind of ends up maybe killing the criminal and the victim at the same time. I think that could be an interesting idea, dealing with the guilt and stuff of her slowly becoming to the superhero. Even though she doesn't want to be the superhero, I think that could be an interesting idea as to building up to that. Maybe she accidentally, because she's unable to control her power, someone else gets hurt. Some innocent person gets hurt, and that's when she's all like, yes, okay, I need to learn to control my powers. I need to become this. And then maybe she even feels like she needs to become a superhero to make up for the guilt of hurting someone with her powers. And I think that could be an interesting way to bring Jennifer with her powers. And I think it's quite a different way than Jefferson Pierce or Anissa Pierce, where they just want to be a superhero. They're pretty much just kind of they're not born into it. I mean, Jefferson has the backstory with his father and stuff, but Anissa just wants to be good. It's just straight up good. Doesn't have that lack. I don't know what else to call it, but Marvel style backstory type thing, or Batman style backstory, where a tragedy that turns him into a hero rather than just being a hero. Like you have Barry Allen. He was always wanted to be a superhero. He was a cop before he was a superhero, right? So he's just a good person before he gets the powers, whereas Anissa, same thing. She just wants to be a superhero, whereas Jennifer, I think it could be an interesting idea to play it with, she ends up accidentally hurting someone, maybe she ends up accidentally killing someone by mistake. She tries to help someone in a situation, and her powers are unable to control, and so she ends up, hurting someone too much, or killing a criminal, someone who's just, trying to rob her type thing, and she ends up killing him by mistake, just going way overboard, right? And I think that could be an interesting storyline to play with that, and it looks like there could be something like that in the next episode, because it looks like in the trailers we do see Black Lightning kind of attacking, fighting with Khalil and stuff, so maybe there could be something with that. He goes after her again, and she ends up deciding to do something that's her powers go crazy and stuff, because I think I'd love to see that, because we don't know how strong is Khalil, how resistant is he. He was able to obviously knock out or punch Jefferson Black Lightning so hard that last season that it's kind of stopped his heart. So it would be cool to see as to how resistant would he be to Jennifer's powers and that type of thing. That would be really cool seeing that. We see Tobias ends up killing his old friend as he's killing off all these a bunch of people in this episode, or well, actually kind of two people really. Any loose ends who kind of could tie him to anything. I think that's interesting like that. I don't know where he's going with that. Maybe he's going somewhere. I'm not sure if he's trying to get into the limelight again, kind of like the way Daredevil Wilson Fisk did in Daredevil Season 1, right at the end, when they find out who he is before they expose him, he goes public himself type thing. And I think that could be an interesting idea to see is where they're going. He's just tying up all these loose ends that are just out there. Even though he didn't really have to worry about his old friend, it's still technically a loose end, so he had to take him out. So that was interesting there. And then we see Lynn kind of bringing Tavon into her home. Tavon being the kid who came back to life in the body bag, so the body bag kid. So that was kind of interesting with that. And then we find out that he has powers where he makes people tell the truth via eye contact when he's looking at people. I think that's really cool dealing with that. It's going to be cool to see where things go with that. Hopefully, I think his powers are going to be quite interesting to see how that kind of continues on, especially with the ASA later on saying that they want to use his powers and stuff. And of course, they want to use that. They want to get the truth out of everyone. So I think that could be quite fun to see where things go with that and how he kind of could continue on. Learn if he ever learns to control his powers, or if his powers are just something that are uncontrollable ever, like kind of like Rogue, type thing, where it's constantly you can't touch her type thing, where you get hurt, right? So I think it's going to be cool to see how he ends up using that. Maybe if he can later on start to control it. I think the idea of controlling that could be interesting, but at the same time, it's a little bit more interesting to not control it so that he never knows, he can always get the truth out of someone, and sometimes the truth hurts type thing, just like it has been with his family, and I think that's kind of an interesting way. And now that he has an idea that it's, eye contact is what triggers it off, he can go and use that to see where things kind of go with that, and to playing with that, like maybe using that to play with some of his family members, not necessarily mess with them or anything like that, but just kind of, when they say that they don't want to be around him, do they really mean that? Is that the deep truth that they just are not accepting inside of themselves? I think that could be an interesting idea, playing with all that, as to when he, uses his powers and he gets the truth out of someone. Is that the truth that they're thinking, or is that just the truth that they didn't know was actually deep inside of them type thing? I think it'd be an interesting thing to kind of play with his powers and stuff. But we'll have to wait and see as to where things go with him. But I feel like he might be one of those things that kind of they introduce him. We get a detailed bit about him. Then we're gonna not see him for a while, and then we'll just see him at the end when the ASA have kind of captured him and someone else. They have him, they're holding him against his will to kind of use him as a tool to interrogate people, to get information out of people. I think that could be a fun thing to see as to where things kind of go with that. And, it could be used against different people, right? So we see Tobias Wales ends up killing one of his own cops again. Again, he's just tying up all kinds of loose ends and stuff. We find out that Tavon is kind of dying and stuff. He only has a little bit to live, like maybe a couple of months. Who knows? He opts to not go back into the pod to save himself. And then that's when we see Black Lightning ends up going against Wendy Henderson to kind of... and she has these like wind powers and stuff, and he ends up lightning her and kind of taking her down. All really, really easy. He only does like one thing, and he takes her down. It's really not. Wasn't even a hard fight for him. He was just trying not to hurt her, since I guess he obviously knows her, since she's. I'm assuming she's Wendy Harrison. Is she brothers to Henderson? Maybe it's different. I'm not sure if she's brothers to him or not, or it's just like, young sister type thing. She's kind of like actually 30 years older than she is. She's just been, frozen at that age, that without growing or anything like that, or aging in the pod. So she opts to go back into the pods. And then again, we see the trailers for next week's episode being that about Jennifer's powers and Khalil and stuff. So I think it's really going to be cool to see another episode where we get deep into Jennifer's powers. Hopefully we can stick with that. I literally like when they play with her powers and stuff. I think it's really going to be cool to see that. Hopefully we don't get too many episodes without her powers. We're on episode 2, and we have 13 episodes this season, according to IMDb here. So I think it's really going to be cool to see as to where things kind of go with all this and how much we get to dive into Jennifer and her powers and stuff. I think it's really going to be quite fun to see and where things kind of continue on with all this. I think it's going to be quite interesting to see how things kind of continue on from here. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below. Season 2, Episode 2 of Black Lightning. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes it's the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.